Olá, boa tarde, nesse sábado, mais uma vez aqui com vocês, com muito prazer, para a gente conversar com mais um tutor nativo do Cambly, tutor Michael, do Canadá, vai estar aqui para a gente, para conversar e tirar suas dúvidas e dar as melhores dicas que ele tem sobre como o inglês pode melhorar, alavancar a sua carreira. E essa live especial que a gente está fazendo aqui nesse sabadão, não só para você tirar essas dúvidas, como praticar o seu inglês, como para você aproveitar a nossa super promoção da Black Friday. Para quem já sabe, a gente está no meio da nossa Black Friday do Cambly, com 60% off nos seus planos anuais. E além disso, a Black Friday desse ano é regressiva. E para você, especialmente que está aqui na live com a gente está retomando o nosso melhor desconto da temporada, com 60% off, mais o bônus de um mês de aulas grátis. Então, se você está aqui com a gente nesse sabadão para melhorar o seu inglês, a gente sabe que você está dedicado aqui nos seus estudos, então aproveita com o código que está aqui na tela, LiveBF ou LiveBF, que se você está interessado em comprar um plano para o seu filho ou para a sua filha, com 60% de desconto, e vocês vão ganhar exatamente o plano que vocês escolheram com um mês totalmente de graça. Então aproveita agora, não perde tempo, porque essa nossa super promoção com esse super bônus que a gente está retomando é só por 3 horinhas até o final dessa live. Então não perca essa oportunidade, vá lá no cambly.com agora, bota o código e aproveite a nossa super promoção da Black Friday com esse super bônus que a gente está retomando especialmente para você. E agora vou chamar o nosso tutor Michael aqui para falar sobre as melhores oportunidades e formas de melhorar o seu inglês na sua carreira. Oi, Alexandre, bem-vindo de volta. Então vamos começar? Hi, tutor Michael, how are you? Please come on.
I'm good, thank you.
Yay.
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm good as well. Thank you for being here with us this Saturday afternoon. It's great to have the Cambly tutors answering our audience questions. So thank you so much.
For sure. Thank you for having me.
So Michael, we are talking about jobs opportunities in your career and how to improve your vocabulary and things like that with English to have better opportunities. So right from the start, as an English speaker and someone who works in various fields in business, what do you think are the 3 reasons people should learn English to improve in their careers?
Great. Well, I think the first reason and the most important one is that if you speak English well, it opens up many doors and you have many opportunities that wouldn't be presented to you if you didn't speak English. So first, you're going to have more opportunities. Second one is ideally, you'll probably get a better job because if you speak English, it's a huge advantage for employers to know. And the third one I would say is that if you have a good job, there will probably be other people at your workplace who speak English. And if you can really speak well, it's going to take you that much further within the company. So you'll rise higher within your company if you speak English well.
Okay. So it's more quantity of opportunities, you have more and you have better. So you have both working for you at the same time.
Totally.
Yeah.
And the ability to go higher within that company as well.
So that's already like enough reasons for us to start to practice our English right now. Would you have
Absolutely.
any tips on how people should start? Oh, we have a question here. So João Pedro,
Sure.
Again, João Pedro, welcome back. Things you never say in a job interview, please, I need help in that.
Sorry, since you never say that, please.
Things you never say in a job interview.
Oh, things you never say. Number one, the thing they always tell you is never ask how much money you make.
Okay.
It's sort of implied, and you may have an idea, but in an interview, the first thing is you do not ask how much you pay, how much the position pays. You may be interested and probably are, but That's a no-no in North America. I know Canada and the United States for sure. That's the first thing they tell us.
Okay.
Always, whoever's interviewing you, I would say Mr. Smith, Mrs. Smith, address them by their last name. And then if they say, oh, no, call me Dan, then you would say, okay, Dan. But it's a form of being polite if you answer, if you call them by their last name, or sir or ma'am.
Okay.
Those are just things to do. Other things not to say. Salary. Usually, salary is the big one. If you're talking about your past, it's good not to say that you had a bad relationship with your boss, as that shows that you're coming from a job and maybe there were problems there. So it's best to avoid that as well.
And on that topic, what are good things or things you should say in a job interview?
Well, you should look really eager, that you'd like this position that you're applying for, and that you're really willing to do anything they ask. You should know a lot about the company or whatever it is you're trying to do, and before you go into the interview. So if the person conducting the interview says, "Oh, what do you think about this?" you know enough to answer about the company and your thoughts. You always need to know about the company and whatever it is you'd like to work at. That's a plus. Being eager, being willing, good attitude, having an answer. Like if somebody says, "What is your weakness?" I mean, that'll come up in pretty much every interview. Everybody has a weakness. If people say they don't, they do. I would just have a good answer. Maybe like, I'm a perfectionist. I like to do everything well. Because if you have an answer like that, I think it's much better, because it shows you're really committed to your work, as opposed to saying, "Well, I get stressed out," and then they'd say, "Well, maybe this is a stressful position, maybe this isn't for you." So just having prepared in advance, I think, is a really good thing.
And we have a lot of Cambly tutors that are specialists on that, and we also have curriculums to job interview training, so they can do with a tutor just like yourself, right?
Absolutely. And honestly, if you have a good interview, you're that much closer to getting the job. So much importance is placed on the interview. It's vital and key that you really succeed and know what to say at the right time. And Cambly, has an excellent platform for that.
Yeah.
I've had many people ask me questions about interviews, and we've gone through scenarios, and it's helped them a lot.
So like a makeup interview for you to practice and rehearse after the actual one. It's a great way.
Yeah.
You're going to be a step plus to get the job.
Oh, absolutely. And they may ask you during interviews questions you may not expect. They may say, "What do you like to do?" And that's a way for someone who's interviewing you to say, is this person the kind of person we can see working at our company? Do they like to do the same things that we do?
Okay.
It may seem like a casual question, but it really isn't. It really serves a greater purpose, and that's to know the individual who's applying for this position.
So what you mean that it might come up? I will get this question, Juliana. Just
Sure.
1 second first. So what you're saying is that during a job interview, it's good for you to not only have business vocabulary and know how to portray yourself during interviews, but how to express your ideas and how you are in your life and your hobbies and things like that.
Totally. That's going to come up in any interview, because they want to know who the individual is. Business English, your competency at your job, that's very important as well, but they want to have a picture of who they're dealing with. And you need to know how to answer those casual questions. And they may not seem as important, but they are as important or more important, because if you don't have those skills and the ability to answer those questions, you're probably not going to get the job.
So you probably have to keep practicing every day with different subjects to keep up your English in different scenarios, not only in the business mindset.
Absolutely.
Great. So we had a question from Juliana. It's a great question. Thank you, Juliana, for bringing this up. In your opinion, Michael, what do you think will make you stand out in a work environment when using English? The writing or the speaking? Which one do you think people should focus the most?
I would say speaking. Writing is really important as well, but usually when you first meet somebody, you meet them and you have a conversation. I guess you could meet through an email, but usually English proficiency is based on speaking being the first skill and then writing the second skill. They're both important, but I would say speaking is more important.
So it's your invitation card, you may say that.
Yeah, that's well said.
Yeah, and also as we have here on our chat, nowadays it's very easy for us to have tools to help us out with our spellings and things like that if you're writing. But when you're speaking, it's just yourself out there trying to express your ideas, right?
Yeah, that was another point I was going to bring up. There's spell check. There are many ways you can sort of help yourself write or learn to write, but there's nothing you can really do for your speaking in terms of the benefits you have when it comes to writing. So speaking is very key and important.
Great. Pessoal, o que vocês estão achando da live? Mandem suas perguntas, façam aqui seus comentários para a gente saber o que vocês estão interessados em saber do nosso tutor. Oh, we have another question here, Michael. Juan, thank you for your question. I'd like to know what type of jobs can I get being fluent in English?
I mean, the sky's the limit. There are so many jobs you can get if you speak English. I live in Canada and I live in Toronto specifically, and I mean, you need to speak English to get a job. And in every sector, literally every sector you can think of, you need English. So you can get as many jobs as you want, really, if you speak English.
I think
yes, sorry.
No, please.
That's that's a must. Like you have to speak English. If you don't speak English, you won't get the job. But if you speak English, then you have a chance at getting other jobs that you may not qualify for. But you definitely need to speak English, and every sector requires you to speak English.
And what I was going to mention is that nowadays, after the pandemic, now we have even living in our own country, where, for example, in Brazil, it's English not our first language, but more opportunities are open for us to work in an international company or a company that is not based in Brazil, but we can work online. And English, it's the language that is based for any international opportunities, even if you're on your own country. So now the tech market is huge and looking for people to work in the technological, can I say that?
Nah. In a way, yeah. You could say it is sort of based in technology, yeah.
Technology. No. Alexandre is here with us since the first live, and he's interested to know. Would you like to know what are the mandatory skills to work in Canada? Because I tried a few times for the US, but I'm still not approved.
To gain like a visa, to get a Canadian visa, like what are the main
mandatory skills?
The mandatory skills. It's, I believe, what you have to know. Most of Canada speaks English. Only one area, a province, so as a province, speaks French. But I believe you need to have proficiency in either language. But mostly, I mean, it helps with English. English is the main language in Canada. Most people speak English. It doesn't matter where you are. So I would say you need to speak English well. I think you need to prove that you have significant work experience in whatever you're applying to. You have the funds, the money available to live in Canada if you don't have a job right away. Letters of support, reference. I'm not sure about the exact requirements, but English is like number one.
Alexandre, maybe send us the field that you're interested in, and maybe Michael can mention in Canada how this business is it's good for people to apply for in Canada. Juliana, but keep sending questions, people. Juliana is asking, what is most important if you're looking for a job in other countries, I might guess, to know about the place and the people, or to have the fluency of English?
Oh, I think fluency of English, but it's really also important to know about the country and the people. What's acceptable in one country may not be acceptable in another country. During interviews, if you're from another country, somebody would say, "Oh, what do you think of Canada? You know, what are your impressions? Where have you been?" And if you can't answer those basic questions, you're probably not going to get the job. So English fluency is number one, but you should really have a good understanding or a decent understanding of the culture and the people.
So, for example, if you're looking to apply in Canada, it is also important to know the curiosities about the countries and how people address each other, because I know there is a very different way to handle conversations and to answer things in Latin culture than it is in North American in general, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Can you think about any of those, like as you perceive as being very different for you?
Well, I know because of COVID, I guess we've kind of eliminated this, but usually in North America, or I guess in Europe too, no, mostly North America, the handshake is really important. Like someone will put up their hand, like, "Nice to meet you." It doesn't matter who you are. In Europe, I know in France, they don't do that. They do it, but they do other things. Japan, they bow. Every country has their own, I guess, customary tool. But just little things like that, like looking someone in the eye is a sign of being polite. Having a firm handshake, like if your handshake is like this, it's not firm, it's considered to be not adequate. So like having a good handshake, looking someone in the eye, knowing that in certain cultures and asking about money, you just don't really do that in an interview here. That's what we're told, but in other cultures, it's okay. Being on time and early, at least 10 minutes towards 10 minutes early to your interview is super important.
Okay.
Canadians place a lot of importance on being on time and early. And if you're not, I mean, I've seen people come to interviews late and they didn't even get the interview. They said, "Go home."
Okay, they didn't even have a chance to explain themselves?
No.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. Yes, they had the chance to explain themselves, but if it wasn't adequate, they would say no.
Okay, so that's a huge one to know, right? So, and I will get this, Alexandre, we will get into this, but like I know in Brazil, it's very common for you to, I've heard this from other tutors, the handshake. So guys, get this note, because it's every tutor talk about that. And it's not very common for you to introduce yourself with a colleague or a boss, or even in a job interview with giving kisses, like, "Hello."
Yes.
That's not.
No. That's France, le bisou. We don't do that here at all.
Okay.
No.
I think some Brazilians might think that's normal because it's common for us, but okay, that's a no if you're looking forward to go to North America. Okay, and Alexandre, who was asking earlier about jobs opportunities and what the skills you need to have. He's from he works in a software engineering. He's a software engineer in Brazil, and he might be wondering how to get opportunities abroad. So English fluency, we are, and what?
What is for sure? Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
Maybe the city in US, like we know in US, for example, in California, you have the Silicon Valley, which is a big city for tech. And how about in Canada?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Silicon Valley startups, they're all based there, like Apple, Facebook, I think PayPal, many other ones. Canada, I would say a lot are in Toronto.
Okay.
That's where I live. That's the business capital. It's not the capital of the country, but it's the biggest city. Um, it's all the headquarters are really here in Toronto, and it's got a very big tech scene. Each city is different though. It's not. There are other tech companies in other provinces and cities, but the majority of tech companies are here, right in the city, and it's growing rapidly. It's really expanding at a fast rate, and many people from all over the world are here working in the tech industry.
And what do you think? That's so, Alexandre. I hope this helps you to have an aim when applying, because we know we put a lot of energy and time when looking for jobs opportunities. So if we have city that we know has better opportunities, Toronto is the one in Canada. Alexandre, I hope this helps you. If you have other questions, please shoot. And so, since we are talking about Toronto and you live there, what do you think are important things for people to know? Oh, before I do this question, Deborah Rafaela has a question here for us. What are the cities that you recommend the most for Brazilian people in terms of weather and amount of job opportunities for immigrants?
Good question. I would say, I mean, I know I'm biased being from Toronto, but I would say for sure, and 95% of people would say Toronto's number one. It's the biggest. They have the most amount of jobs. We're growing rapidly. There are more cranes in the sky, like for building buildings.
Cranes?
It's hard to describe. When you have a building, the big machines that move things up and down. There are more cranes in the sky than in Toronto, than in New York and Los Angeles combined.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it's just huge. There are over 100,000 people coming to the GTA, the general Toronto area, every year, and more want to come. Everywhere you look, there's a new building going up. Across the street from me, down the road. I mean, it's just booming here. And so I'd say Toronto. I would not say Montreal, because even though it is the second biggest city, they speak French there, and they also speak English, but it's tough to get a job there if you don't speak French and speak French well. So I would say Toronto and Vancouver. It's on the West Coast. A lot of people from Asian countries end up in Vancouver because it's actually not that far. It's on the other side of Canada. So it's closer to the Asian countries. But Toronto's big. Vancouver's more mild. It's not doesn't really snow there in the city. It rains a lot though. Toronto, it gets cold, but I don't think that a lot of Brazilians have asked me, oh, it gets cold. I don't think it's that big of a deal as long as you have a winter coat and get used to it.
Yeah.
You'll get used to it right away. Like it shouldn't be a factor in you deciding not to come. But those are two expensive cities to live in. Unfortunately, the cost of living is really high. But there are jobs there. There's Calgary. I've never been there. It gets very cold there, but it's in the mountains and it's not expensive to live there. It's an oil town, so it's cyclical, so it goes up and down. So I would say Toronto, Vancouver, Calgary, maybe Ottawa. Ottawa is the capital.
Okay, those are good options then. We have a question here from Vinicius Santos. Thank you, Vinicius, for your question. Can I get great jobs speaking English? Same if I don't have a degree in university. So
it depends. It's better obviously to have a degree. It doesn't, like, you can have a degree from a Brazilian school. It doesn't, I mean, education is important. So it helps. It's a big factor whether or not you get a job if you have a degree. Not necessarily though. I mean, if you speak English really well and you're good at what you do and you can explain that, then there are exceptions, yes. But having a degree is very important.
But if you also have experience in your area and you have a plus of having a fluency in English, I think nowadays people are more open-minded about not having a degree in a specific university. If you have those skills.
And it depends what field.
Yeah.
And it depends what field too. So there's some that I guess doesn't really matter if you've got the experience and you can prove that you're good at what you do.
Yeah, of course. If you're a doctor, you probably need this degree. But if it's not like that technical kind of environment. So we are getting to the end of our live. Guys, we are in the last 5 minutes for our live. If you have any questions for Michael, please do so right now. That's the time. And to wrap it up, in your experience in your field, not only as a Cambly tutor, but I know you're also an investor in the stock market. Do you think people can invest not knowing English?
That's tough. English, hands down, is the official business language of the world. Everybody knows that. If you want to get into business, you have to know English. A lot of the biggest companies in the world are located in North America, and you know, English is really a must if you want to go into the business world, and especially for the stock market. I guess I'm not too familiar about other languages and how they relate to the stock market, but I just know that, you know, executives in Japan and China, the first thing they learn is English, because they know that if they want to deal with the United States, Canada, Australia, Britain, if you don't speak English, you can't get the job.
And also in those, what I know myself is that even the reports that other countries that are not English native speakers, the reports they send, it's all the time they are in English, every time they are in English. So it's kind of,
it's assumed, like you have to, right? It's I guess they're not very accommodating, but they know that they're the best, I mean the biggest like business language in the world. So it's basically you learn it or you don't. They don't really, you're right, they don't translate them as much. The reports are in English, and if you don't speak it, well, it's tough luck.
Okay, it was great talking to you, Michael. Thank you so much for answering all those questions and giving all those hints for us. I'll just give 1 second if someone have any questions. If not, Michael, we are having now our Black Friday on Cambly, and we're giving out 60% off in their annual plan, in the annual subscription for people in Brazil to be able to talk to natives just like you. So I hope you have, I hope people get in touch with you if they have any other questions. Thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you for having me. Really appreciate it. And hopefully I'll see some more Brazilians on Cambly.
Great. So thank you, Michael. Have a great Saturday.
Thank you so much.
Então é isso, pessoal. Muito obrigada por estarem aqui. Espero que vocês tenham gostado das lives que a gente preparou para você nesse sábado, para conhecerem um pouquinho melhor sobre esses destinos, sobre o inglês, como o inglês pode abrir oportunidades para vocês. E pensando no seu futuro, se eu fosse vocês, eu aproveitava agora mesmo a nossa super promoção da Black Friday, que é a maior do ano, porque além dos 60% off dos planos anuais, você ainda vai garantir, assinando agora, nessas próximas 3 horinhas aqui da nossa live, mais 1 mês de aulas grátis. Então, como funciona, gente? Vocês vão lá no link que está aí na descrição do chat para vocês, vão entrar no cambly.com, vão escolher um plano, botar o código aqui, LiveBF ou LiveBF Kids, se você está interessado em comprar um plano para o seu filho ou para sua filha, e vocês vão garantir 60% off nos seus planos anuais e de quebra de bônus de presente para vocês. A gente está dando 1 mês equivalente de aula grátis. Ou seja, se você vai lá e escolhe, quero aulas de 15 minutos por dia, 2 vezes por semana, você vai ganhar mais 1 mês no seu plano anual, exatamente dessa forma como você deseja. Então, a nossa melhor promoção do ano é a nossa Black Friday regressiva, e a gente está voltando com esse melhor bônus da temporada para você hoje. Mas são só 3 horinhas, então aproveita agora mesmo. E um ótimo final de semana para vocês, uma ótima prática de inglês. Happy learning and see you next time. Bye!